When your belief came that you can turn this previously unsustainable land into what we've been seeing these past couple of days, the transformation has been pretty incredible.
Started a long time back, actually. My master and his master, his dream was to make Earth a paradise kind of a thing, having lush greenery all throughout. And only reason, or rather one of the most significant reason, was about consciousness of the planet and how planet's consciousness is preserved by the trees and shrubs and plants more than human beings can. Though human beings can contribute a lot. Suppose if I give some divine charge, infuse some spiritual charge in an entity, and you compare it, that infusion, that was, if you can measure it, in human being versus the trees, human beings will lose it instantly. You give it, he wouldn't even understand if he received or not. It will be there, but not for a very long time. Trees will preserve it as long as they exist. Some trees can preserve it for thousands of years. And some, even when they are dead, they'll preserve it in their roots or wherever the dead molecules spread across the planet. It will affect vibrationally. So they have that potential. We, with our own awareness, we either can make it more potent or destroy. And anything that requires increasing the potency needs efforts. And today's human beings, not just today's, it has always been, the greatest weakness of human being is we don't make efforts. We are in a constant state of entropy. We don't like to make efforts. Trees, they just preserve it. Whatsoever you give them, gift them, they just preserve it. So with that in mind, and he used to say that places can be charged in such a way that whoever enters such premises, they should feel at peace, they should feel at home, they should feel some deep silence. If not spiritually touching, at least it should emotionally stir their heart and say, yes, this is a good place to be at. So with that in mind, we thought of creating something here. Earlier, we didn't have much water. So we used to request people coming from outside, please bring a gallon of water. And even if you don't bring the drinking water, bring some dirty water from your kitchen. So that's how we started this project here. And biggest advantage came when we understood the significance of charcoal. Charcoal retains everything. Like trees retains a charge, charcoal retains all kinds of nutrients as well as poisons. It's a two-edged sword. Like, I'm a pharmacist. I practiced in New York for many years. What we don't get in India, though it's an invention of India, but we don't get it here anymore, is charcoal caps. Charcoal caps you can buy it any time from any drugstore in the United States. And charcoal caps is one of the best things to fight your acidity. And if your child somehow takes some poison, first thing to do is open up this half a dozen capsule and stuff it in his mouth. It will reach the stomach and will absorb all the toxins. It will not allow it to go into blood system. But of course, you have to take your child to hospital for further investigation. But charcoal is a blessing. Suppose you're traveling in some country where there are no medicine, then suddenly you get diarrhea, lose motion. What you do, burn some toast and butter it and have it. You will have a great relief from it because it absorbs the toxins. So with that principle in mind, we started digging pits here. Many pits, hundreds of pits, 8 feet wide, about 3 feet in width diameter, 8 feet deep. So and we would connect them with water canals. So what would happen there? So as the water flows down, it will charge the pits, and at the bottom of the pits, we would put 2 or 3 gunny bags of charcoal. So water will percolate after passing through these charcoal bags. So whatever is percolating underground will be very pure, clean water. In US also, you will see many high-end cars. They'll have air filters made of charcoals. Even the water filters use this charcoal. So I felt very confident about it. And we started, let's say if we dig a pit for planting a tree, a meter width, a meter diameter, and meter depth. Even if it's a small plant, give a lot of nutrition of 1 meter, 1 cubic meter size. At the bottom, we'll put some black soil, so it retains moisture. And on top of it, that we'll put about a thick layer, about 3/4 of a feet of water, charcoal, and then some nutrients and other stuff. So, and charcoal will retain the nutrients for thousands of years. It doesn't disintegrate. This is also, by the way, a research or the old tradition, terra plata in Brazil, in Amazonian forests, and which gave me a lot of confirmation and courage that yes, we can accelerate the growth of trees. Not only speeds up the growth, but I think they remain healthier, and which we are witnessing it here. If you go just outside this campus, you will not find such healthy trees and varieties of trees. Our forest officer, here he was discouraging us that you cannot have rainforest. This is Telangana. Where rain is a dream. I said, let's try it till we are human beings. We can have our own interference in a positive way. If not naturally, we can provide artificially. So we created few rain guns also on a small size of area. And we planted, and it's amazing to see how they have flourished, I would say.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible walking through everything. And it made me wonder if you ever had any doubts about whether certain things that you were doing would work, or were there some things that you tried and didn't work?
No, it has always been, despite of friends who would discourage you, actually, they would discourage you, but then inner conviction was so strong that we can make a difference.
I've heard a lot of these sustainability efforts being described as a proof of concept to be taken elsewhere. Are there specific areas? I know that we have lots of people here, and I've talked with others. Are there specific areas of the world where you think these practices can be used?
Well, we are open to all these things. We can share this knowledge and learn from other countries also, because they also have some best practices to preserve the soil. The biggest problem, I tell you, something that I observed when first time I went to United States was in 1981, December. Few months later, I came to participate in one of the yoga gatherings. And then much later, during monsoon time, I came, just a year later. And I found the farms that I used to visit, they have gone down by almost 9 inches. And then as I walked through that village, earlier when I used to go, the roads used to be slightly slopey. But those roads were not slopey anymore. They were quite straight, flat roads. So that I started thinking, why? Then I understood it's because of erosion. And most of the islands, especially when we talk of soil health, West Indies Islands, Fiji Islands, all those Pacific Islands, the biggest threat with all these islands is rain. Rain is a blessing as well as a curse. Why is it occurs? Because as it rains, along with its flow, it takes away the nutrients. The rich soil that is there on top, it gets washed away. It has been happening for thousands of years, and it continues. The richness of the soil each year goes down. The crops that used to grow in India, the yield is not the same. Same planet, similar earth, the landscape. But when I planted one seed of bottle gourd, for example, in Gujarat, in my home state, and when I compare the growth in Staten Island, altogether different. The reason? Soil. United States has been very fortunate for having large canopy of forests. The soil is relatively virgin. No one has done farming for millions of years. Only recently, last 200-300 years, the farming started in the United States in a very big way. And only those areas are losing the quality of soil. But the rest of the United States, in your backyard, it's still virgin soil. And you can grow anything there. The quality of that bottle gourd that I used to see in India was about this long. The same seed in the United States will be about this long, more than a meter long. And I was surprised, why is it so? Again, virginity of the soil, the richness of the soil, which has gone over millions of years. Now, how to enrich the soil, make it more fertile, how to make it livelier, not just carbon content. Carbon content is not the only thing that thrives this planet. There are many other things. We have to bring all those things back and make that upper crust livelier. See? Microorganisms can play a big role, beneficial microorganisms. Many times the way we classify beneficial, not so beneficial. Not so beneficial in human eyes. But they are vital to some other organisms, and if they were not there, this vitality of the earth will be destroyed. So I think we need a fine balance between what is beneficial and what is not so beneficial.
And with this balance and taking these practices to other places and the things that you've learned and bringing it in with the concepts of heartfulness, do you think that some of the things that you've been able to do here can be done elsewhere without heartfulness?
Anywhere it can be done. Person has to have certain optimistic mind also. Just as I was sharing with you how trees can positively retain the spiritual charge or the vibrations that we share with the trees, they also get negatively impacted. There has been experiments done by children in some schools where they segregate certain shrubs. One, they would criticize, you don't look good, you look ugly, things like that. Other one, they caress it and they'll say, you are so beautiful today. And you can see the difference in growth. Right? So, person looking after such things must have, first thing, positive set of mind. See? And if the consciousness of a person who is nourishing is high enough, spiritually advanced, then they can make an even wonderful impact on the planet, on the environment.
Is this related to, you've written about the power of suggestion versus force. How is that related to it? It seems that many may think that suggestion may not be enough to put such a powerful change through.
Well, suggestions can be either positive or negative. Even a simple thing that, oh, what if my wife was flirting with my business partner? just a thought, not even a suggestion. And if this thought reoccurs, then you start seeing things in a very weird way, and your relation will spoil. Unnecessary, just one negative thought. So we can change our relationship based on our thoughts also. Many times it may be true that yes, she was flirting, but then you can have the capacity to change the whole relationship altogether for better. We are all human. If you can forget, if you can forgive, of course you cannot forget it. You can even strengthen the relationship. So with positive set of mind or negative set, it is up to you how you want to take it further.
Do you think that some of these things can still be done without a universal positive frame of mind?
It can still be done. There are certain things in science. For example, you want to boil water. It will boil exactly at 100 degrees centigrade, even if you doubt it. So there are certain hardcore scientific physical principles which cannot be changed. Law of gravitation cannot be changed. But when you talk of things at emotional level, at mental level, they can change depending on the inner attitude. I can put a wall in my heart and say, I'm not going to talk. And no one can convince me to talk. Children also, once they make up their mind, Mommy, Papa, I don't want to eat this. They've made up their mind. Nothing can convince them. Except you bribe them, then. Yeah.
Switching topics slightly, with how fast you've been able to build everything up here, you've written about and spoken a lot about patience and not rushing. How did those two things come together?
Though it sounds paradoxical, not rushing and doing things faster, I think you'll understand it better. Have you spun a top in your childhood?
Mm-hmm.
What happens when it is at its fastest speed?
Stays up.
It stays up and it feels as if it is absolutely still, doesn't move, doesn't even vibrate, it's just there. It's as if not moving, but it's so fast. So I think when people meditate regularly, like this entire community that we have here, we are synchronizing ourselves, or we are resonating ourselves at a higher level of awareness. Mindset is similar. The speed picks up. Speed picks up because the understanding is also greater. There is no discord. There will be differences of opinion that will only enrich your ideas. Unlike what happens in politics. Politics means once I make up my mind that I'm against you, even when you tell me good things, I will still be against you. That is politics. And because of such negative mindsets, countries don't flourish. Same thing in India. Have you watched Indian parliament talking? They're worse than classroom children. They fight like crazy. Someone says something nice, and if it comes from an opposite party, it is thrown out and immediately. It's not respected at all. That's not democracy. It's a false democracy. When a meditative mind is interacting, meditative mind will appreciate the differences. It will welcome the differences. That's a big difference. And that's what is happening in such communities. If you are just saying yes to my yes, you're not contributing anything. You may be my friend, but you turn out to be my enemy in the end. But it's good that I listen to someone who is differing. I can learn something new from such people. And that's what we encourage here. We can have differences, and it is great. for the growth of an organization. Many things, when we live freely like this, it comes at an expense. Energy input in many projects like this, where there will not be financial discipline. So we end up spending little more. That is the only restraint we have. Only side effect of such freedom of expression. Because once you express something and you say, oh, I like to do this. And once it is convinced, let's do it. That means added expense. So that's the only disadvantage. But in the end, it turns out beautiful. It's only money in there.
Mhm. So speaking of how it feels very utopian to, if I can use that word, the way that people live here and the way that interact with nature. This type of thing has been tried in the past and hasn't worked. What do you think makes Kana different?
The same thing, the spiritual set of mind, meditative mind. Have you seen our children performing?
I did.
You got children?
I have one daughter, yeah.
How old is she?
She's 10 months.
Wow. Okay, we have to wait 5 years.
Yeah, she's got some time.
Yeah, but you can start with the positive vibes. She can absorb all those. Once you meditate in the morning, she'll sit in your lap. She'll also close her eyes. And when you're away, she'll tell mommy, look, I'm meditating like Papa. It's such a beautiful thing to watch. And do you think such a child will deviate later in life? One who knows how to visit the inside. We are all used to visiting outside. Our extrovertism is so strong. You rarely get a time to go inward, even when you are in the bathroom. There's nothing else to see in the bathroom. Still, your mind is all over. You don't get to go inside. Even when you go to church, when you go to synagogue or you go to mosque, what do people do? Gossip. Who is wearing what? They don't go in at all. Even when they offer prayer, it's always outside. I want this. I don't have this. I'm praying for the sickness of so-and-so. It's a good thing, but still you're going out. You think God doesn't know that someone is sick? That you have to remind him that, oh, please cure him. We are using all these things in a very superficial way. No one really goes inside. Once you go inside, then you don't need to pray. Because your energies, your vibrations will heal the world, heal the person who you care for.
Would you say that the meditated mind is a natural state for humans?
It used to be.
What made the deviation from that path?
Too much engagement with the outside world. I am of the opinion, one has to balance out and inward. Extrovertism should not take us so much outside, though it is required. Like, I should not become a parasite to the society, that I become a pandit or I become a priest in a temple and depend on society or a community for my survival. I abandon my own family, for example, and become a celebrate and retire in some forest. Will that help? No. It will not help my parents nor my family. I'll remain a beggar, maybe in some street or in some subway I'll be sleeping. So I had to be very successful in the material world as far as money making is concerned. At the same time, I should not go into this money-making mad rush so much that I forget my inner world, my spiritual life. So here we say that we must be able to integrate spirituality and material life. Problem, is this: what is spirituality? What is religion? If you ask a Christian, he'll have his own definition. And he's ready to fight with the Muslim to kill that guy at any cost. Same thing with the Muslim. He is ready to kill a Jew or a Christian or a Hindu. Or a Hindu, the same thing. So where is religion? Religion means to love. God is love. If you follow religion, it means your heart should be full of love. But people are full of hatred towards each other. It's not serving its purpose. So we have deviated from God. Today, number one reason, religion.
You have visited many places. You've lived many places. I've lived in New York as well, and finding a way to not interact negatively with the outside world and your inside world in New York can be a challenge. How do you see that progressing forward in these hectic cities that bring a lot of value to the world, but that maybe aren't able to reach a state that can progress some of the practices that are exemplified here at Kana?
Kana, I call it a trap also. I'll give you a recent example, and I have always believed, because since I spent almost 30 years in US, my spiritual growth was exponential during my stay there. Whenever I came to India, the land of spirituality, as we call it, it was okay for some time. But after settling here for a few months, you somehow feel that you have reached a plateau, which is not good. And I've also seen many, when I compare people living in Europe, people living in the United States, people living in Africa, Pacific Islands, Australia, and all those, and India. My observation of so far, as of now, people practicing spirituality in the United States, especially the Heartfulness way of practice, they have the fastest growth. Apparently, we perceive that United States is too materialistic, but in reality, the atmosphere there is very conducive to spiritual growth. I find this very interesting phenomena. See, India, the so-called land of holy, I find there is so much of disease at the inner level, which is difficult to cure. And that is because of this fatalistic approach to godliness, that I believe in God and that's enough. That's suicidal. You are in Kana. I am being taken care of by the spiritual atmosphere. If that feelings arise in your heart, then you're finished. If you say, I believe in God, and you don't take the next action, then that belief is useless. What do? I believe she is my wife. What's your next step?
Take actions.
Go to the next level of building further relationship. I believe in God. Okay, where is that God? Do I even experience the entity that I believe in? Many people say Lord Jesus. Okay, nothing wrong in believing in Lord Jesus or Lord Krishna or Lord Prophet or whoever. There is nothing wrong in belief. But what do you do next? Are you even following their personality, their traits, their qualities? They represented in their lifetime, life of sacrifice and love. You want to sacrifice the others now. See? You don't want to be sacrificed. So how can you grow?
I think that's a question that a lot of people would like to know the answer to, of growth and finding places to grow. Do you believe that having a place like Kana, you said, can also be a trap in India?
Yes.
Do you believe like places like this can serve a purpose for that growth?
It can inspire. It can inspire people, but then you have to take the next step of leading a real life. Because there is a life and there is another life within life. Let's say when, as a profession, pharmacist working in a drugstore, working with certain attitude, It's not uniformly the same, but the quality of attitude will be of a different nature. You run a business, of course, to make money. That's common thing with all pharmacies, all drugstores, right? To serve and also make money. But with that, if you can add little bit of compassion, if you can spend time with your patients, if you can hold their hands and say, how is your daughter, or how is your father, or how is your grandfather, send some gift now and then, make your clerk visit their home, did you take your medicine? When patients come after a long waiting in the hospital, they spend 2 hours, 3 hours in waiting, doctors take half hour, they walk down to the pharmacy for prescription. They are all exhausted, they are already sick people. Right? They have spent so much of time in a hospital. And on top of that, you make them wait for 1 hour in the pharmacy. Is it fair? So we generally say, Uncle, we start saying that to also our people there and our customers, or Mr. So-and-so. You go home, our people will deliver this medicine to your home. No charge. So when you serve people with compassion, and that's where we call godliness in action, divinity in action. Divinity is not something very special of doing miracles. These are miracles in real life, that someone cares. That itself is a miracle. And we have to become that vehicle of miracles. We should become the miracle performers. Simple thing. Listen, serve. Listen, serve, and be available.
Bringing it back to learning from visiting Kana and learning through Heartfulness, you've talked a lot about climate change and how the environment can be rebuilt up. Do you believe that there's a timeline that we have to work on around the world to kind of stem some of the effects?
I think we can change the entire climate within less than a year. Entire planet, if we all work together, less than a year we can change it.
But do you think that people could all work together?
That is the only challenge we have. You see, if you see the temperature measurement, humidity measurement, these two things within these premises, and just outside, you'll be amazed. 4 to 5 degree differences in temperature. Whenever it rains also, the rainfall here and rainfall just outside within 1 mile, you'll see a difference. So if creating microclimate can make so much of a difference, imagine the entire landscape changed. Earth will be a different planet. Instead of a blue Earth, you'll see green Earth from the top.
The photos of this area from before, and before is only 6 years ago to now.
Isn't it special?
Almost unbelievable.
It makes you feel so happy. We have started something in the central part of India also. But you see, beauty of heartfulness, we don't charge money to the practitioners, right? And because of that, we get a lot of volunteers. And when people come together to work out of their volition, the quality of work is always great. And because of that, our volunteers are able to develop another 2,000 acres in central part of India. And we are taking up, because of that, the Prime Minister is giving us 750 stretch kilometer of mountain range. That stretches all the way from Delhi to Ahmedabad, that part. That mountainside is becoming almost dry, naked mountains. On its western side, there's a desert. If these mountains were not there, it will go towards the central part of India and make it entirely a desert. Danger is there. Since now, the mountain range that used to be green, now it has become like bald-headed man. And he wants us to develop this. after witnessing the story of Kanha. He said, "Why can you develop this?" I said, "It is possible, but we don't have such a capacity of developing 750-kilometer stretch of mountain range. It's a huge investment, but our volunteers can jump in and help you." So it is at that stage now. And we can take up, I mean, there are a lot of good-hearted people, and we can take help from prisoners. We can take help of our college students, university students. We can take help from children from school. They can adopt counties or districts and make a difference.
And it feels like the development here at Kana, it seems almost never ending. Everywhere I see there's construction. Is there an end, or is it an infinite project?
I think it will continue. It will continue, I think.
So I do want to switch topics a little bit. If you can talk to me about your upcoming book and how that your previous writings, as well as the teachings that you've done and the Heartfulness Way.
Well, Heartfulness Way book, it is an extension of my earlier master's work. They have described spirituality based on their times. I was born in 1873. Those times were different. Even within 30 years, we have already decided, there is all kinds of, generations, right? People born after 2000, people born after 2005, people born after 1990s, people born after 85. They are given different names because of their personalities. And it is rapidly changing. Earlier, the change in our times was, let's see, 60s and 70s and 80s, not much of a change. And before 60s, hardly any change, all the way up to 1800s or so. So this fast transformation at multiple levels, external as well as internal, it is making a big impact on our mindset. When we read the books by such masters, the questions posed by them and the explanations given by them and the theories written by them, practices offered by them, they were of such lofty heights. They were talking of emancipation. They were talking of transcendence. They were talking of salvation. They were talking of liberation. They were talking of different dimensions. Right? But as we move on now, people who were asking questions in previous master's life, how to attain peace. Now, how can I become stress-free? How can I ease myself? How can I remove my health problems? How can I remove my depression and anxiety? See, the goals, they continuously keep changing based on man's demands in time. So, not that people don't want salvation now, but priorities have changed. So to address a larger mass, we keep on bottling the old wine in new bottles. It's the same medicine. But to make understand, for example, what do you do when a person says, I would like to have a transcendence of mind? That means to transcend mind. And what it means to transcend mind? Transcending mind means to transcend the function of the mind. What is the function of the mind? It's to think. How can I transcend this process of thinking? What do I become when I transcend thinking? That's when the heart comes into picture. That I graduate, I move from the mind to the heart. Have you seen many a times with your mom or with your spouse that you were having problems? Whatever be the problem, and you brood over it for months. Mom asks, what is wrong with you? Tell me. Even before you finish your problem, she'll give you a solution. Why? And how does he do that? We use this, they use heart. That is transcending the mind. Women have this, as they say, the sixth sense. They perceive it just like that. They can also progress much more, but they get stuck because of this ability of perception. Spirituality is full of paradoxes. She is so great with perception, yet she is stuck. Why? She is stuck with her emotions, with the family. Man wants to still transcend all these things and yet have a family. Nothing wrong in transcendence. It's nothing. Now, what do you become when you transcend function of the mind, function of the heart, and then what? So when the transcendence of mind is there, that means all the functions related with the mind, to think, to overthink, to become anxious, to become depressed, you transcend all this. So in one way, when you look at it, salvation begins with transcendence of mind. Liberation begins with transcendence of mind. Realization of God begins with transcendence of mind. Merger with God begins with transcendence of mind. Transcendence of mind also kills all these diseases, depressions, and anxieties. Actually, a meditative mind cannot attract any confused ideologies. It will deflect it. Meditation works like a vaccination. It prevents you from wrong thinking. Wrong thinking leads to wrong results, and wrong results makes you depressed. So these are all connected. So this Heartfulness web book is all about such questions and answers. Then our next book was on designing destiny. That was all about, people think that, do I have any free will in this creation? Do I function because of my free will? Or is there someone guiding my life or deciding on my life? Am I a slave of that decisive man or God? So those serious questions are there. Next book in India is The Wisdom Bridge. It's all about parenting and grandparenting and all that. How the process of conception also, that how parents can prepare themselves before conception to receive a kind of a soul that can match your vibratory levels. So it's very much in depth. And next book is on spiritual anatomy. Spiritual anatomy you can understand. If I give the example of mountaineering, suppose if you are on the way to Everest, you start from the foothills and you will keep on describing. If nothing else, you will have visual graphics with your cameras. You can have, auto cameras. You can keep transmitting the data to the collecting center. At different heights, it will convey different images. Here, with the inner spiritual journey, we also cross different heights. These different heights are not of the places or positions. They are in your consciousness. Again, giving you the example of our vision when we are in the hills, when we are in the valley. Your vision will be up to a certain extent. When you are halfway, your vision will see only some things. On top of the mountain, you'll have full visage. The description will be different because now your ability to see things have changed. From the height, there is nothing to obstruct you. Same thing happens, a meditative mind, which is at its highest level of consciousness, can see through, nothing to obstruct. And the biggest obstruction is our own self. We have filters. And these filters come in based on our prejudices. You want to see certain things, you don't want to see certain things. Like when you go for shopping, you want to buy perfume, you go with half a dozen friends. Will you all choose the same?
Not at all.
Not at all. Everyone will have different. In some occasions, I like, and I say I like this, eternity. My friend, just to be different, he'll say, no, I don't like eternity. Just to be different. And what is this just to be different? You want to select something else, though you liked it? It's your ego. So it's not only the filters because of your desires, but now you want to prove different. Ego plays another trick on you. See, I want to look different. I want to be different. Something was very cheap and very good, but you want to show off. I want to buy the most expensive. Again, ego comes in the picture. So, from different heights, when we look and perceive things, it encourages us how to see things always from the highest and serve from the highest. And that book is all about that. That how my consciousness can change as I travel through various states of consciousness. For that, one has to understand chakras, yogic chakras. And based on our experiences and what the teachings of our masters, it's not just teachings, but it's an experiential learning through this process of meditation. It's not a belief system again. When you are meditating, your experience will be different each day. Even in a group meditation, when we all meditate, I transmit the same essence. But your experience will be different from another person because of these filters. At the highest level, the same essence will be perceived by all. So that is an indirect proof also that yes, it is absolutely scientific and we can really traverse through all these chakras. And based on their locations in the human frame, we are actually able to find its longitude and latitudes in the human frame based on your experience. When you talk of longitude, latitude of New York, is it painted on the planet? No, it's not. It's hypothetical. Like that, these chakras are also, to some extent, description of their location, they are hypothetical, but they are very real. The location, let's see, when you feel the vibrations of extreme passion for sex, the vibrations felt will be at different locations in the body. Versus when you have immense love, love has nothing to do with sex. Though it is one form of expression of love. We love to express love at the lowest level is through the sex. It becomes very mundane then. But at a higher level of vibrations of love, where there is a lot of compassion for the other, reverence for other, then those vibrations of love will hit you at a different chakra. And you can feel the vibrations happening at that chakra versus when you are feeling love for satisfying your sex. They're two different things of the same, of emotions located at a various location of the same spectrum of love. Likewise, peace, for example, the inner peace that one feels, that is also different at different chakras. You feel so peaceful inside, but you feel the outside noisy. Then comes a time when you feel inside as well as outside. That's different. Another stage comes where you feel peaceful and neither outside nor inside, but you become peace. And the depth and heights of the peace and love, calmness, compassion, empathy, they all keep changing. As far as ego is concerned, moving from one chakra to another chakra. It's how we consciously, thinking wise, awareness wise, change from thinking about just I, we graduate into we. We means all of us. When I pray, it's not about I, it becomes we. And ultimately, we graduate into thou. Thou art the only one, God. Right? So this awareness keeps developing as we keep on moving from one chakra to another chakra. And there are many more, I would say, very refined states of awareness, which all of us can experience. It's not just in the book. And I have given a warning kind of a thing, like, they have the warning when you smoke cigarettes, dangerous, injurious to your health. Likewise, don't take this as a map, as a real thing. It's just a direction that you're moving from New York to Florida. It's just a map. It's not the real thing. Traveling you'll have to do. Don't be happy with the map.
I was trying to figure out how I should end this interview when I was writing down some questions, and I ended up just leaving it blank. I feel like you just said a phrase earlier that kind of fits into that when you said, and then what? People come here, they learn, they see what's possible, and the different ways that you've been able to push some of these efforts forward. And then what is next for them in your mind?
Well, I'll put it differently. I'll give you a good one. When we learn from nature, one day we were traveling by car, with my master, seeing orchards, fruit orchards, especially of mangoes. And observation was, as there's loads of mangoes on a branch, it bows down. See? More fruits, trees bows down. See? Another observation, mangoes, they don't take mango juice for its growth, or apple don't demand apple juice, or coconuts, they don't demand coconut juice for their growth. They're happy with cow dung, manure, some sunlight, and water. They take the least and gives you the best. We as human beings, we take the best. What should we give in return? It's good enough.
That's perfect. I really appreciate you. Really appreciate you taking the time and answering them.
So it's very simple, I think. It's very simple.